Welcome to Creepy Chronicles. We bring you 5 short stories with endings that will leave you watching the shadows. Ready? Let's begin. Sarah lived alone in a small apartment. Every night she locked the doors, checked the windows, and fell asleep watching TV. One morning, she found her front door slightly open. Confused, she checked for signs of forced entry, but nothing was missing. She shrugged it off. The next morning, the door was open again. This time, there was a single, dirty footprint on the doormat. Panicked, she called the landlord to check the locks. Everything seemed fine. That night, she placed a glass of water by the door and went to bed. At 3 a.m., she woke up, heart pounding. The door was open. The glass of water was empty, and there was a wet handprint on her pillow. Little Tommy had an imaginary friend named Benny. Benny says we should play outside, Tommy would say. Benny says I shouldn't go near the basement. His parents played along, thinking it was just a phase. One night, Tommy woke them up, trembling. Benny's mad, he whispered. He says you don't believe in him. His mom sighed. Sweetie, Benny isn't real. Tommy's eyes filled with tears. But he was, Tommy whispered, until you stopped believing in him. Now he says something else is coming. His parents laughed it off. That morning, Tommy was gone. The only thing left was his stuffed rabbit sitting at the table, and someone had stitched the name Benny onto its little fabric foot. Danny moved into a new apartment with an old, ornate mirror left behind by the previous tenant. One morning, while brushing his teeth, he noticed something strange. His reflection smiled before he did. He blinked. Maybe he was imagining things. That night, he tested it. He raised his hand, slowly. His reflection followed. Then, it winked. Danny hadn't winked. He covered his mouth, heart racing. His reflection grinned, then turned and walked away. But Danny was still standing there, watching himself leave. Leo loved scouring thrift stores for oddities. One day he found an old ventriloquist dummy with a cracked wooden face and lifeless glass eyes. A note was tucked inside its vest. I'm sorry, he won't let me go. Leo laughed, assuming it was a joke. That night, he set the dummy on a chair before bed. At midnight, a soft creaking sound woke him. The dummy was on the floor, facing the bed. Leo frowned and placed it back on the chair. The next night, it happened again and again. On the 4th night, he taped it to the chair. At 3 a.m., he heard whispering. The tape was torn, and the dummy was sitting on his chest, its painted lips slightly parted. I'm sorry. He won't let me go. Ethan worked as a late-night taxi driver. One foggy evening, he picked up a woman standing at a quiet bus stop. She slid into the back seat and gave him an address. She barely spoke the whole ride, except to say, "You're kind." When they reached her destination, Ethan turned to tell her the fare. But the back seat was empty. Shaken, he looked at the house. It was abandoned, windows shattered, covered in ivy. Confused, he checked his rearview mirror. A slip of paper sat on the seat where she'd been. It was a bus ticket from 30 years ago. Which story got under your skin? Let us know in the comments, if you're still here. And remember, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. Because some stories have a way of finding you again. Sleep well, if you can.